I knew it, I freaking knew Skyward Sword would be coming to the Nintendo Switch, and what a blast it was. I remember when I saw the Nintendo Direct, the Zelda fan within me just exploded with excitement. I even bought the Zelda Joy-Cons. I was really surprised to see some people were not that excited for the game. Like, who would hate a game where you can be Stick Bug? But anyway, Skyward Sword HD was a breath of fresh air and a blast to play. I never really finished the game on the Wii, but now that it's on the Nintendo Switch, I finally got to finish it. And when I was playing the game, I wanted to make a review video on the game. So with that all said, this is my review video of Skyward Sword HD. So without further ado, let's get into it. I think one thing I like about Skyward Sword is how Nintendo presents Zelda Skyward Sword's art style, characters, and storytelling. By taking Wind Waker's and Twilight Princess's art style and putting them together was a really good idea, and would have to be one of my favorite art styles in the Zelda franchise. And with the art style, it allows the characters to express themselves to the best they can. The characters would have to be the most fleshed out in the Zelda franchise, and I think the most fleshed out character in this game would have to be Groose. Groose would have to be the best character with the best character development in the entire Zelda timeline. He goes from being a bully and a scaredy cat to a brave supporting friend. Skyward Sword is not the best Zelda game in the franchise, but would have to be the best storytelling Zelda game in the franchise, giving the player fun and nerve-wracking moments that just gets you off the edge of your chair. In Skyward Sword HD, Nintendo added 2 ways to play Skyward Sword. There are motion controls and button controls. Let's talk about the motion controls first. The motion controls in Skyward Sword HD is way more better than the Wii version. I found it easier to do attacks like the poke attack than the Wii. Yes, the motion controls would go off center sometimes, but you can fix it with just the press of the Y button. Flying in Skyward Sword is not that bad with motion controls. You use the Joy-Con to control your loft wing, shake it to make your loft wing go up, and press X to make your loft wing do a little boost. Swimming is also the same, but with a little difference. When you are above water, you control with the left analog stick, but when you unlock the Water Dragon scale, you can swim underwater. You control Link with the Joy-Con, hold A to swim underwater, and shake the Joy-Con to do a little dash. Now with motion controls out of the way, let's talk about the new feature Nintendo added to Skyward Sword HD, button controls. Sword HD, they are moved to the right analog stick, so if you wanted to do a downward slash, you would have to flick the analog stick down. If you want to do a sideward slash, you would either flick the stick to your left or right. If you want to do a poke attack, you would have to push down on the right analog stick. I've actually found the poke-in attack with button controls was way more better than motion controls, but that's all I liked about button control attacks. The diagonal attacks were just so hard to do. Every time I tried to do a diagonal attack, it always read as a side attack, and I don't like how you have to flick the stick left and right to do a spin attack, because it would just read as a standard slash attack. Flying and swimming in Skyward Sword HD is controlled the same but with a little differences. To control your loft wing, you just use the left analog stick, and if you want to go up, you press A, and to do a little boost, you just gotta click X. For swimming in Skyward Sword, you use the left analog stick to control Link, you hold A to dive underwater, and you press down on the left analog stick to make Link do a little boost. I like the idea for letting the player choose what they prefer and what they like to play with. Some people who are old school veterans who like the Wii's motion controls, and there might be some people who are not a fan of motion controls, might prefer button controls. Then you get to me. What do I prefer the most? Well, I'm one of those people who really like motion controls and grew up on motion controls. And I will always be a part of the motion control lovers, but I actually found myself alternating between the 2 options. Damn you! You traitors! Okay, let me explain. I am a big fan of motion controls, but I actually found myself really liking the controls for flying and swimming in Skyward Sword HD using button controls. Flying and swimming felt way more better to use, but every time I'm not flying and swimming, I always switch to motion controls for everything else. It's just my preference on playing the game. Now, with the gameplay out of the way, let's get into the last part of this review. In conclusion, my experience with Skyward Sword HD was actually pretty good. The game was challenging when it needed to, and be fun at the same time. Skyward Sword HD has the right balance by guiding and telling the player where to go, and while also letting the player explore the area around you, and lets the player decide how they want to play. So in conclusion, Skyward Sword HD was a fantastic game to play, and I would highly recommend you to play it. And with that all said, that is the end of this video. I hope you all enjoyed it and have a great day.